Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Sophia Margaritelli and welcome back to a disturbing movie breakdown. Today's video we are going to be talking about the 2011 horror movie The Woman. That is right, I've never heard of this movie before watching it for you guys, so yeah, let's get into this. So for the synopsis, the spoiler-free synopsis for this movie, to be fair, there's not much spoilers in it. When you look at the synopsis that's online, it's pretty much the whole movie. But for you people at home who may be and ahhing if they want to watch it first before watching this video, here we go. So The Woman follows a feral woman who is captured by a family and is forced to become civilized by that family. So as you can imagine, it's a bit of an odd movie and it gets disturbing. So yeah, let's get into the spoilers, disturbing movie breakdown for The Woman. So The Woman is actually a sequel to 2009 movie The Offspring, which follows said woman in a cannibal tribe and how she becomes the last one standing, I guess. I've never seen it, I've never heard of it. I didn't feel after watching this one that I needed to see it. I probably will because I enjoyed this movie, but I think if you are now worried about having to watch something before this to understand, you really don't. All that you'd probably get, I'd imagine, is more backstory on this character, so I guess you probably care a bit more about her, but to be fair, if you're a decent human being, you're going to care about her anyway. So yeah, I didn't feel like you needed to see it, but I probably will watch it just because I enjoyed this movie. But here we go, I got my script on this side, so let's get cracking. So The Woman starts us off with said woman. She's in the forest and sees a lot of these tracking shots of her roaming around. She hears a noise and she goes to investigate, and it's a wolf. I'm guessing it's a wolf because it's you know, it's in a forest, it's nature, and she kills said animal, and yeah, it's kind of like, cool, here we go. This is, I'm guessing it's where it left off in the last movie. So yeah, that's kind of like our first introduction to this movie and our introduction to The Woman. Then we get our introduction to the family that we are going to be following. That is right, we see the dad, Chris, who is a condescending asshole to his wife, also to behind his friends' backs. He's just an asshole, and we see that translates to the rest of the family with regards to he's very on top of everyone, especially his son, and his basketball. He wants his son to get every single free throw basket, and he's very much doesn't care unless that happens. And you see the son continually try and do it and it doesn't happen. You can see him get more frustrated. So he's just a piece of shit, this guy. He really is. And we understand that straight away, pretty much. We then meet his wife, Belle, who is definitely under the thumb, a yes woman, does what she's told, and does it not with a smile on her face, with a fake smile, let's just say, more of a grimace. But yeah, that is the matriarch and the patriarch of this family that we follow. So we've got asshole Chris and we've got yes woman Belle. Then we have the kids. So there's 3 children. We have the eldest, which is Peggy, who is very reserved. She's just on her own all the time. She reminded me very much of Jenna Ortega, and I'm intrigued to see if this woman is known for being in horror movies, because he looks very, very familiar, but I didn't notice anything that popped out at me on her IMDb, so maybe just has that face. But we are introduced to Peggy. Then we're introduced to the only son of the family, Brian, who just is very detached. Like I said, he is trying to shoot some hoops and do what his dad wants him to do, and he just seems a very detached human, which obviously, as we go through the movie, sees that he takes after his dad quite a bit. And then we have the youngest little girl called Darlin, who she's just there. You know, She just says what she wants. Very much the baby of the family. She's very, very young. But that is the family that we follow, and that is the family that we are going to be with. We see a few more characters throughout the movie, but the core group is this family and obviously the woman. So we've got introductions, so now we can kick it on. So they go back to their house, farm, ranch thing. It's what I would call like a good old American ranch. And Chris goes to hunt, and when he's there, he comes across the woman, and the woman is bathing in the creek, and he is very intrigued by her and is just watching her as she bathes. So he's a creep. So again, furthers on the fact that he's an asshole, he's also a creep as well and a pervert. So we're gonna have some fun with Chris later on. That is for sure. But he spots her, he knows now where she is, so he goes back home and then comes back the following day with like a net and captures her and takes her to his house, and he ties her up, locks her away in the cellar in their ranch, and begins to taunt her a little bit, gets a bit too close for comfort, and she rips his finger off. She eats his finger, and it's a really gross up close kind of pull. Great special effects for it. I imagine it's practical because it looks very, very real. And yeah, it's the first type of kind of like, oh, here we go in the movie. So, and it also shows you just how gory this movie's going to get as well, because this is very early on. And also it's a nice touch as well that she eats the finger, and it turned out to be the ring finger because she spits the ring out. She can't eat that ring. So yeah. Now Chris knows what he's done and who he's brought in, and he doesn't really seem to care. He's a bit annoyed that his finger's gone, but he just wraps that up and he just goes off and brings his family down to look at this woman he's captured, and even kind of jokingly tells them not to get too close to comfort because she bites, and he kind of like waves a hand. So there's no sense of worry there at all, which is very amusing because you'd think that'd be the opposite way after having your finger munched on. But he brings the family down, he introduces them to her. He basically says that the reason why he found her, he's brought her here so they can make her more civilized, and domesticate her almost like you would with a dog. And the girls are not too happy, they're very uneasy about it, but Brian, he seems to be very, very happy with this, along with his dad. So immediately you can the woman's scouting and looking at all the different reactions, and you can tell that the women are a little bit more on edge about it, whereas the boys are just having a well of a time. So yeah, now everyone knows what's happening, why it's there. Cool, okay. Throughout the events, the coming days with this woman, Brian becomes more obsessed with her, and he views her nearly every night through like this little peephole that he created in the cellar door, and a lot of the time it's just watching her there, but he catches sight and watches his dad as his dad rapes the woman, and yeah, he's he doesn't seem very upset about it, he doesn't seem disturbed by it. So again, you're now starting to realize, okay, the dad's already shown himself to be this weird sadistic person, but now you're starting to realize, okay, something's not right with Brian. So that's happening with Brian while Chris is doing this, but also Chris is getting more vicious with the woman. There's a moment where he forces his wife Belle to help as they bathe her and clean her, but they use like boiling hot water, so she's in pain and she's she's uncomfortable, she's not happy with it, and then forces a power washer on her. So you've obviously got the burns and stuff, and then the power wash on her, and he's just like loving life, he's very happy with it. And you can kind of start to see again, like, okay, how far these people are going to go, specifically these guys. And yeah, it kind of gets to the point where she's getting brutalized by the dad, but also with Brian kind of sneaks down there one day and just attacks her, and he has pliers and he's attacking her, and I think he rips off her nipple and stuff like that. It's very gross. It's not nice. And also while he's doing that, he's having some fun himself, let's just put it that way, and he gets found by Peggy, and Peggy's disgusted with it and drags him back into the house and tells the mother about what's happened, and the mother's furious. The mother can't believe what's happening, what's going on with her son. She's at wit's end, so she's hoping that the dad will come in and we'll sort it out. But lo and behold, Chris doesn't care. Chris just says boys will be boys, and that's it. He's more worried about anyone kind of, finding out about anything because of the way that the women are being hysterical. And again, it shows just how misogynistic he is, because all he cares about, and he's losing his mind about the fact that there's always a problem in this house. I'm always on the man, I have to sort this out, all this stuff. So he's kind of getting a bit antsy. And that's enough. Like, that is, when he says boys will be boys, that triggers something in Belle, and Belle stands up to Brian, probably for the first time in her life, with him, and says that he's taken the girls and they're leaving. Chris does not like that. Chris beats her up until she's unconscious, and yeah, like, it's very quick, very sudden. See, he's hit her a few times before this in the movie, so you know that he's abusive towards his wife. But the fact that the first time that she starts to stand up for herself, you can see why, and you can, why she goes along with him. And I think that's a very telling point in a lot of abusive relationships. And yeah, like, it is sad to watch, and it is hard. It's very abrupt, and it's shocking. But yeah, Chris is just pissed and does that. But he's kind of thwarted before he can do anything else by the ringing of the doorbell. So whilst this movie's been going on, they've been cutting to school with Peggy, and Peggy's been becoming more and more detached in school, more and more kind of like aloof in school, and it's caught the attention of her teacher, who is very worried and is convinced that she might be pregnant because of being sick and like the things that she's exhibiting. So the teacher is at the door. The teacher goes into the house and wants to talk to the parents about her findings and what she believes. And Chris is absolutely furious because he takes that as the fact that this teacher thinks that he had raped his daughter. So we don't know if that happened. We do know at the end of the movie that Peggy actually is pregnant. So there is a chance that one of the boys in this family did do it with her, because there's nowhere, like, who is she around? You see she is not with anyone around her. So, like, you think, okay, maybe it is incest, but at the same time, it's never officially announced. And see, he loses his mind and just goes crazy and viciously attacks the teacher, dragging the teacher outside, getting Brian to kind of like beat her with a stick and stuff, until eventually he drags her into the locked up barn, which has all their dogs, and you think they're going to feed her to the dogs, but it's not the dogs that eat her. It's actually this deformed human who acts like a dog, is kind of kept in a kennel, and it turns out that that is their other daughter, and they kind of keep her hidden away. He sees deformed, sees feral, and she eats the teacher. So the teacher's being ripped apart and eaten, and while this is happening, Chris and Brian are just happy and smirking and watching it happen, and Peggy freaks out, runs and unlocks the woman from her shackles and just lets the woman loose. So the woman's out now. The woman is ready to get some food in her. And the first person she comes across when she gets out of that cellar is the mother, Belle, because Belle has awoken from being unconscious. She can hear all of the screaming going on in the barn, so she's kind of like running out to try and figure out what's going on, and she meets the woman. And Belle, whilst not specifically hands-on hurt her like the boys have, she's been complicit, you know. She stood there, she's not got any help. So the woman don't like Belle, and the woman kills Belle. The woman like eats her face and all that. It's gross, it's disgusting, it's a lot of special effects. So yeah, the Belle's gone, she's out of the question now. Peggy's like, uh-oh, what have I done? So, but the woman is just avoiding Peggy. The woman's not going up to Peggy. The woman knows that in that barn there is going to be the people she's wanting. So off she goes. She goes to that barn and she obliterates and murders Brian by cutting him in half with like a blade. Like she's carrying around like this piece of metal. And I mean, like, she cuts him in half. Like, you see like the two parts of the bodies just sitting there. And again, great effects for it, and you're rooting for her at this because they've been little shits, especially this kid's been awful to her. So yeah, she just cuts him in half, and then goes up to Chris, who is freaking out and cannot shoot her because he's shaking and freaking out, and he gets shot by his own gun and then gets his heart ripped out and eaten. Yeah. So that happens, and there we go. Chris had probably one of the grisliest ends in this movie, and it's so justified. Like, I whooped in my seat when I watched it. I was like, you go, girl. So yeah, they are gone. They're done. They are dead. So the woman kind of sees the weird dog daughter and takes her with her. And they go up to Peggy, who has now got Darlin. Darlin, you know, she's about to run off with Darlin. And Darlin kind of like shows one of the first bit of good-naturedness and kindness to her by offering her some water. And in doing so, the dog woman, I can't remember what it's called. I don't know if they gave her a name. I can't remember what the dog woman's called, so I'm going to keep calling her dog woman. Kind of goes for the little girl, but the woman kind of stands in the way and protects her. They are kind of like form like a little pact. The little girl takes her hand and they walk off into the forest, and then at the last shot of the movie is them walking further into the forest, and then you start to see Peggy begin to follow after, and that's how the movie ends. So it's a very weird movie. There's no kind of timeline to it. There's no real organization to this movie. It kind of like has a lot of scenes that kind of just like ebbs and flow and happen, and you can kind of be a bit confused to start with where when this scene is appearing, but eventually you kind of you understand and you roll the punches of it, and it's a unique movie and I enjoy it. I think it's fun. There's some great gore in it, there's some great effects in it. It's a very uniquely shot movie as well. There's a fantastic scene where towards the end, when it's all the shit's hitting the fan, the camera is kind of doing that this crazy 360 turn, and it keeps going around and around and around, and it's a great way of capturing the craziness of it. And yeah, I just love those sort of things, especially for something that is definitely low budget. It's a great way to show off actually you can make a very good movie on a low budget. So go star for that one. But in regards to the disturbingness of the movie, I think it's pretty disturbing. I think the actual, you take away the fact that the woman's a cannibal, because when I saw the synopsis I thought, well, that's what the disturbance is going to be. He's going to eat everyone. But you take that away, the actual just thing of this family capturing this woman and just torturing her into being submissive is disturbing. Then you add in the fact that she's a cannibal, and then she like rips them apart and eats them. It kind of adds a little cherry on top. So for the disturbing meter scale, I'm going to give this a 7.5 out of 10, because I think the actual story of it is just disgusting and gross and very, very disturbing. And then you add in the effects of eating people and the cannibal. It's kind of like a little cherry on top. So that's the 0.5. But there you go, that's my thoughts for the 2011 movie The Woman. Comment down below if you've seen it, or if it sounds like it's a movie you might want to check out. I believe Arrow Video released a Blu-ray of it, and I think that's where it kind of got a bit more recognition. I had never heard of it before, but I am intrigued to check out the movie. It's a sequel of The Offspring, so depending on how disturbing that is, it may be featured here on another video. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure you follow me on the socials. This is a place to be for all you movie collecting people. This area, definitely. Also, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. We've been doing really well lately, and I just want to thank you all for that. It means a lot to me. So yeah, comment down below any movies you want to see me cover, and I will see you at the next disturbing movie breakdown. Ciao ciao, goodbye for now.